Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Albert Corey, who's a cash injection specialist. Albert, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure meeting dynamic people that are helping business owners inject cash in their business to go do amazing things in the world.
Yeah, I've done literally over 1,100 interviews with business owners, and every time I'm learning something new. I mean, it really just is that way. I've interviewed president of a gold mine or a uranium mine. I mean, from all kinds of industries, but it's so interesting just to learn from people. And the thing that jumps out at me is cash injection specialist. So I want to dive into that and find out what you do and how you do it. But I would venture to say that any business would check the box. Yes, I need cash injection. So that's really, really interesting. But let's get started with a little bit of your story and background. What has your entrepreneurial journey been like to this point in your career?
Well, thank you, Mike. You see, today you can see me on business stages, been in business for almost 40 years, but I didn't start out this way. Back in 1984, I was working in my parents' motels. And one day, and I'm a Lebanese guy who never really got paid, but you got everything. Until one day, mom calls me and says, Albert, yeah, mom, get your checkbook. I go, why? You're the IRS. I go, who? Huh? Yeah. Everybody's got to pay your taxes. Well, since then, I went on a mission to make sure I'm going to inject cash into people's business with less stress and capital with simple accounting and marketing services.
So how did you go from working in the motel to then getting into business yourself?
Well, I started working. That's a great question. Where you're only one step away. So that got me a mission to say why I had to pay. I then saw an ad. This was 1985, everybody. There was no internet. There was no cell phones. There were just newspapers. I saw an ad for H&R Block education training. I took
They're the big
class,
guys.
and the rest was history.
Yeah. But then you figured out how to do things on your own as far as for your taxes. But then what made you think, you know what, maybe I should start my own firm and help other entrepreneurs?
Right. That's a great question. So one day I'm at H&R Block, Hialeah, Florida office. Somebody comes up to the office manager, will you come to my house? And they said, sure, $500. I said, $500? Dude, they're only paying me $5 an hour. Maybe it was $4 in 1985. I know, something like that. So then after class, after working my shift at H&R Block, I got in my car, ran home, told my dad, Papa Joe Corey, Dad, we're going to be rich. We're going to go do tax returns. And Mr. Mike, what do you think my dad told me? A Lebanese guy from, Lebanese father who came to the States. He said,
I'm going to assume it was like the Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and go, you just stay in your lane, son, work your job, get your paycheck, and stay there for 30 years, and you'll be just fine.
Worse. He says, who the blank is going to go to you? You're dumb and stupid. And, you're dumb and stupid. You don't know nobody. I ain't the bank. Well, that was worse. 145,000 clients later or before.
Wow. So you had a kind of a fire in your gut. You kind of had a spark. You knew you could do it. You jumped out and you made mistakes along the way and you started that business, and you've been doing business on your own for now, 40 plus years?
We'll be we just finished 38. We're starting 39 for almost 40. Wow. We started in 85.
Nice. So let's go into. I'm confident that the first day you open the doors is different how you serve your clients than what you do now. So talk a little bit about how you serve your clients now.
Well, it's simple. Back then we got started. I make fun of, I don't know how age your clients are, Mike, but I call it, I had the left foot, right foot marketing system. You know what that is, right?
Is it left foot's on the brake, right foot's on the accelerator?
No, 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 no. I would make flyers at Office Depot on Saturday night. I knew if I did 100 sheets and I had 4 per sheet, that would be 400. And then the next morning on Sundays for years, we would go around the neighborhood in the condos and pass out flyers and put them on cars.
Mm.
That's how we got started. Today, it's different. Along the way, we learned how to maximize Facebook, YouTube, internet, podcasts. I mean, I'm almost everywhere. I learned from Grant Cardone way back is you got to be omnipresent. So if there's a platform and I know a way I can drive traffic and help business owners increase their profits, inject cash, they can do whatever they want in life, I'm usually there.
So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing with your business owners. I think a lot of times people just hear tax, accounting, and that's pretty generic, but you've taken it and leveled it up to being a cash injection specialist. What is that specifically, and how does that benefit entrepreneurs and business owners?
Well, we're going to make sure cash injection really comes down to increase, your profits with less stress and capital. Well, what does that mean? For business owners, you got to make sure, obviously, you know all the dates. I mean, that's the easiest way to put cash in your pocket. As of this presentation, it's August 31st. Did you file the extension in January to make sure you're not paying late fees? Mike, that's putting money in your pocket, correct?
Yeah.
Are you making sure that whoever you go to, and I know that they understand the business that you're in. So if you ask them the questions, you understand, Mr. Mike? To ask them the questions to get all the right deductions. A couple of things also is not even business. Are you using like maybe some of the apps like Go Miles to keep track of your miles? Are you making sure every month you know what your expenses are? One of the coolest tips I can tell people is, it goes back to what my grandmother would say. Are you making sure that, that you get rid of stuff that you're not using, or maybe you need to downgrade? The best example of that, Mr. Mike, is about a couple of months ago, I realized my Comcast bill at my house was $320, of which $200 was for, the cable. Well, what did I do? I found out that with Google TV, it only charges me $80 for almost the same channels. Boom. Mr. Mike, then I injected $100 into my, my house. But here's another simple tip. I'm going to ask you, Mike, how many domain names do you have on GoDaddy or wherever you host them? The average entrepreneur has
probably 20.
Right. And out of the 20, there's probably some that you started ideas 4 years ago that you're never going to move them forward. Well, guess what? You're giving you're giving GoDaddy money. So cut them off. Because if you're not using it, a great example was I had one IRS gold mine, and I had a thing I was going to use, but I ended up not going down. Oh, I know one. I had Talk Albert. That was going to be my accounting link. And for some reason, I didn't go through with it. So for 4 years, I'm paying GoDaddy, $15, $20 a year. And it keeps going up. Cut it out. I injected cash.
Yeah.
So there's so many simple ways you can put money in your pocket. But can I give you another cool one that nobody does? That you need to be doing. There's this company called, I don't know if you heard of, it's called Reddick or Redo. I can get the exact name, where they'll give you cash. Here's a great example. If you go on Office Depot site and you're connected to Reddick, that they'll give you 3% back just by using that service. You use the same credit card, it's the same service. But these companies are using like Reddick to make sure you're going to go to their site and buy. Funny thing is, it doesn't affect the price. If you want to pay with a debit card, you can, but they're giving you between three, depending on who it is, they give you between 3 and 25% back, Mr. Mike.
Wow.
And it's not taking you any extra time or effort.
So those are the kind of things that when you're describing those, that is not something brand new that I need to do differently in my daily life. They're things that I'm already doing that you're either saying stop doing it because you're paying unnecessarily, or like with this Reddick opportunity, you're already buying things from these same stores. Now you can get cash back.
Right. Using a debit card or any. Can I ask you how you can triple dip, Mr. Mike? Can I tell you the ultimate trick, Mr. Mike?
Sure.
Ultimate trick is, okay, remember I said Reddick, right? And I'll get you the right name in a few minutes. But guess what? Now you use a cashback card on top of it. So now you can double dip. So you're going to get the Reddick money back. And you know how Amex and Citibank and Bank of America, you can get credit cards with cash back?
Yeah.
Right. Well, guess what? Now you get the Reddick money and you get the cash back. So how's that? You can be getting 10%, 20% back for doing nothing extra in your life.
Right.
How cool is that? Free money. I call it free.
What about things when you're mentioning things like the Comcast bill or different things like that? I've heard of companies that can come in and say, let's take a look at your whatever the case is, your power bill, all these different things to find where there's waste or overcharging. Is that an opportunity as well for business owners?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a huge opportunity. But kind of what I always teach, Mr. Mike, is simple ways. I don't have to bring anybody in. You can bring in power companies, you can bring auditors. But you know what's my cash injection system, Mike, is I'm not bringing anybody else. Remember I said less stress and no capital, right? How much stress is it? You connected it, you pay with the debt, you pay with the card with cashback. Zero stress, no intrusions. Oh, now maybe you got to find somebody who's going to try to sell you, blah, blah, blah. But in my system, there's no stress or capital. You're just doing your normal stuff every day. That's the beauty of what I coach on. Yes, you can call experts, but that's not what I'm after. I'm after simple and easy ways. We all can do it almost instantly.
So then that obviously is something that is a competitive advantage that sets you apart from anyone that is in your industry, because most people I see talking about taxes and things like that aren't talking about where to inject cash. But what do you do once a client has found some of that cash? You don't want them to waste it. So what do you advise them to do with the cash that they're finding?
Well, here's what I've been telling people. So now you can almost triple dip. See, the triple dip is like, say you get, and I think that the average business owner has to use the big 5 banks. I know they're like always the worst pain in the ass, but as you move up the food chain, Mr. Mike, you start, it will actually pay extra dividends, because like certain banks, like I have Bank of America. So if you have a certain account, so now you put all this money that you're saving into a savings account.
Yeah.
So now you're what? Triple dipping, right? You're now triple dipping on the same money every year. I mean,
you're prepared for things that might come up in the future because now you have that cash reserve.
Right. But I'm saying, Mr. Mike, you're putting money in the savings account that you didn't even have to earn or work for. That's the beauty of what I'm coaching. You didn't earn it. You're cutting off a Comcast bill. Or here's a great one. How many times you have apps and stuff that you're not using anymore? That you keep getting billed for shit that you're not using. Right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Money in your pocket. You need to go over every couple of months, everything you pay on recurring, and see if you're using it. Or like old school, you're not using it, cut it, and now you're putting money in your pocket.
So all through your entrepreneurial journey, I'm certain that it was not all roses and rainbows where it was perfect. there had to have been a failure or a breakdown that you experienced along the way, many times, probably both personally and professionally. Can you talk a little bit about some of those?
Well, here's one of the craziest breakdowns. Well, it wasn't a failure, it's more of a breakdown where I'll never forget the day. It was the 2008 season. The owner of where I'm renting the office from, I get an order cease and desist of doing tax returns because H&R Block was moved in about like 2 stores down,
Hmm.
and they said you got to go. I go, gotta go. You had all summer to tell me, you don't want to renew my lease, or you tell me I gotta go. So that took a lot of quick thinking where we worked out a deal that was in one spot. We then had to rent where I'm at now 16 years later. Remember, this was at the time where you can't move the phone. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, Mr. Mike? In 2018, now with virtual, you can go anywhere in the world and I can move my office phone. But 2008, you couldn't do that. You were stuck. You know what I'm trying to say? You were stuck in whatever area your phone, the prefixes.
Hmm.
You couldn't move you couldn't move. You know what I'm saying? Now you can. But 2008. So in 5 days, where I'm at, I ended up where I'm at. And we were in the office. And then I brokered a deal that said on March, because I've been doing this forever, on March 1st, I said, look, I got to get through the peak, the heavy time. So then on March 1st, that I said, guess what? We're out of here. So in one day, we closed one store and moved 4 blocks up the street where I'm at.
That was a shocker, I'm sure. That, like you said, a breakdown, not necessarily a failure because you didn't do anything, but what you did, from what I'm hearing you describe there, that was an outside force, which is the landlord telling you get out. You responded the right way with a positive mental attitude and figured out a way through it so that you still succeeded. And I think that is a very resilient approach to respond correctly to that.
Yes. And it ends up being, I have more walk-in traffic than ever before. I mean, I pay more rent, but 45,000 cars come to my shopping center, buy it, more parking, and it ends up being a win-win. See,
Yep.
sometimes there's win-wins that you don't know. It might
Yep.
come later, but it will come.
Excellent. What's something else that you can think of as you journeyed through succeeding in business that might not have been the perfect scenario, but it was a little bit of a roadblock or a hurdle that you had to work through?
I think along the way, guess what? There's always going to be people that are going to steal your money. Always,
Yeah.
Mike. You're going to take a class, they don't develop, oh, you hear this all the time. Oh, I took a real estate class and I didn't get no money. Dude, okay, I don't believe in Roblox. I believe that, and I ended up building a business because every time I got stuck or somebody took my money, I would always figure out, well, how to fix how I just got screwed. Well, who do I need to go to next? And then one thing would lead to another and lead to another. Here's a crazy story, Mike. I want to ask you that I always tell people. If you're a business owner in your startup, Mike, are you willing to max out your credit cards?
That's a tough one.
No, it's not. And I'll
Well,
tell you
it's
the
not.
reason why that's a big thing in my life now. For your
Okay, go ahead.
business, not to go dancing, not to go on vacation. That's not what I said.
So
And
what's
then
the
I'll tell
answer?
you the answer is yes, because that's telling yourself, are you all in? See, end of the day, you got to push. It's like it's a poker, right? Do you agree, Mike, that business is a poker game, correct?
Sometimes, yeah.
Always is. It's always poker every day. You got to figure it out. Well, because it's poker, you got to be always all in. See, winners win, because you're willing to be all in all day, every day. Because the more times you're all in, the more chances you're going to find the next step. Because if you're not in and you're wishy-washy, you're never going to go nowhere but down.
Yeah.
And guess what? If you did max out the credit card, okay, now figure out how to get it down. How to
Yeah.
figure out how to see more people or do what you got to do to get it down. But to me, maxing out the credit card for business says, are you all in? If you're not, then just go get a regular job. And don't bitch when I've been to Australia 11 times. Or go to the best, do what I got to do.
Some of those hurdles and roadblocks you mentioned had to have been like a punch to the gut. So there's an element of faith that has to be present in your life to move through those. Talk a little bit about that mindset of having that faith that you can succeed.
Well, the faith is that, success, success is everybody's going to have failures. I mean, My biggest thing I love enjoying is reading autobiographies of some of the greatest people, from Facebook to you name a company, Mike, and they all somewhere, who owns X and sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. X and the electric Tesla.
Elon Musk.
Read his book and he'll tell you that when he was doing Tesla, that they were bubble gumming, gluing the wheels together when they were showing in front of investors. Okay, he went broke. He took all his money from PayPal, put it into Tesla. Okay, he then made money in Tesla. Do you know SpaceX? He was one rocket away from everything not happening. He had money for 5 rockets. 4 of them blew up. And the 5th one blew up. Nobody would have invested. And on the 5th rocket, it took off. And now you have SpaceX. Same thing with the Tesla cars. It didn't happen overnight. He had so many setbacks and then it worked and blah, blah, blah. Now he's the godfather of electric cars.
Yeah.
And how many setbacks?
I think those, I've heard it said that a setback is just a setup for a comeback.
Right. By the way, setbacks are good. You know why, Mike? Because now you got to think, what can I do to fix it? And guess what? And every time you think, what do you got to do to fix it, Mike, you come out better. You come out with a better product because then version B is 10 times better than version 1 or, version A.
So in your entrepreneurial journey, when you were making it through these setbacks and breakdowns, how did that lead you to even more success?
Because I'm always figuring out what can I do better. See, it's you got to ask who. It's never who. It's never. I learned by reading some stuff. It's who do you know? So along the journey, you start meeting other people. So you start to grow by learning other people. And what really also happened, I learned this years ago, learning the who does not necessarily be a physical presence, Mike. I'll never ever meet the Tesla owner, but how many videos are on YouTube that you can watch it?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Aaron Nightingale and some of these people have been dead for centuries, right? Years, but you can still read his books. So you can always go forward. There's always somehow to go forward, even if you have no money.
Yep. I love it. So thinking back of those failures, breakdowns, hurdles, the tougher times, would you go back and do anything differently if you had the chance?
Yes, for sure. Back in the beginning, I was a cheap buck, and as I'm willing to spend money, goes back to in the beginning, I wasn't willing to go and here's the best story. Can I tell you this crazy story how I am now?
Sure.
Okay. When you know who Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels, right?
Yes.
So I was following him, and way back when he was doing his inner circle, there was $25,000 to join. This was just when he started. It was ClickFunnels 2.1. Whatever. It was like in the beginning. And I was too nearsighted to say, oh shit, I'm going to spend $25K to go learn ClickFunnels. Today, it's nothing to spend that. You know what I'm trying to? I wasn't smart enough to say, drinking my own Kool-Aid. Well, let me ask Russell if he's willing to take payments, or what can I do to make this thing happen?
Yeah.
I wasn't smart
Invest in
enough.
yourself.
What's that?
Investing in yourself.
Way back 10, 15 years ago, I would never invest in myself. I'd say,
Yeah.
I'm from a Lebanese family. What are you going to get out of that shit? What for? How come? You're not going to make you're just making them rich. And I bought that Kool-Aid for a long time until I said no.
That's huge. Yeah, that really is huge. If you could go back and say to your old self, invest more in becoming a better person, professionally, personally, all of that, to then learn from other people, because success leaves clues. That's a huge piece. So what would you say to people coming up in business, if they're just an entrepreneur, business owner in any industry? What are some of the key attributes that they need to make sure they have in their life to make sure they succeed and persevere through unforeseen issues in their life?
I think you got to be hanging out with the right people.
Yeah.
That's the number one key to success. If you live in Donkey Dong, Iowa, then you go buy the books to read them. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't get out of where my family's from in North Lebanon, in the middle of the hills or the woods somewhere, Mr. Mike, but there's always a way to buy books.
Yep.
So find a way to get out and meet. If you live in an area that you can't see anybody personally, then go start watching, and there's no internet, then go buy books.
Yep.
But that being said, can I give everybody my new Ninja injection system tip that I really came up with I'd say about 6-8 months ago, and it's paid huge dividends.
Sure.
So, you know how there's always virtual events, Mike, and somebody says, I give you a free consultation, right? You've seen that, right?
Sure.
Click on every one just to say hi to somebody.
Yeah.
If you don't have no money to buy, just listen to what they got to say. I mean, you could say, no, I don't have no money. And I've done that a bunch of times, but I met a bunch of cool people. I met cool people, but I said, hey, I just did it, say hi to meet you, to see maybe we can work together somehow.
Yeah. And learn from their advice.
Right. And obviously, can I tell you, Mike, the dumbest thing you can do, if you're the one who's giving out the link, the calendar link, Mike, you know what somebody put today? I found somebody on Facebook about podcasts, and they go, know what they put? How stupid they are. To me, this is stupid, and you tell me, because you are an expert too. They put, we want to discuss what kind of plan to be in because our rates are going up on podcasts. Hello? Sorry to say that. I'm like, you never do that. I want to say hi to you first before you say, instead of trying to pressure me to sign to your program. Sorry.
Yep. Give value first, teach, and then maybe the relationship develops. I think that's a key point. It brings me up to this last question, Albert. At this point in your career, you've seen the fire in your belly at the very beginning when your dad said you couldn't do it, and you stepped out and you made it work. You've overcome struggles, you've learned lessons, and you've solidified your purpose in life and business. Talk a little bit about what your purpose is and what is your why behind that purpose.
I think as I've made a killer business, traveled the world with my kids, but now my purpose now, I'm like 63 at this point, is my new purpose is to make sure business owners get the cash injection into your business so we can change the world together. I mean, how many, why don't people go out, and volunteer? Because, I don't have time. Well, guess what? Make enough money so that you can say, the church, I remember the church this weekend, they're putting stuff together for the hurricane victims. Okay, well, go out and help them.
Yeah.
Or, they need money to buy water. I'm trying to get it. Well, if you're doing well enough, you can write them the check to help with the water or help with, I'm trying to get at. So I'm out here now. My new mission is to be a kind of like a conscious entrepreneur, to show people how to increase their bottom lines so that you can change the world.
Wow. That's a mouthful. I love it. That's a huge opportunity that you're taking on to help other people. And it has then that ripple effect. When you succeed in your mission, other people are succeeding, and then they're going to follow suit and help other people and pay it forward as well. I think that is just spectacular. It's been really powerful learning from you, hearing from you, Albert. What is the best way that someone can learn more about you and reach out and connect?
Probably the easiest way is if you go to albertc360.com. That's ALBERTC360.com. You can find everything from Albert. And can I ask you one question, Mike? Would it be okay if I give your clients an amazing free gift just because you're
Certainly.
an awesome guy and your clients are really, really amazing? So we can
Certainly.
change the world together? Well, if you go there and sign up at Albert C360, we're going to give you the 10 tips you can use almost instantly to inject cash in your business with less stress and capital. Same system we've used for almost 40 years, serving 145,000 clients.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for that gift. Thank you for the gift of your time. It's been a real pleasure talking with you today, Albert.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.